Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went there? Or maybe you were talking to someone and suddenly the name of a person you know very well just disappeared from your mind. You know that feeling, right? It's frustrating. But here's the interesting part: forgetting is actually a normal and important function of the human brain. So, why do we forget things? Let's find out. Your brain receives an enormous amount of information every single day: the things you see, the conversations you have, the sounds you hear, the places you visit, and even your random thoughts. But your brain doesn't store all of this information permanently. And that's a good thing. Imagine if you remembered every single detail of every day of your life, every conversation, every face, every sound, every small thing you saw. Your brain would be overwhelmed. So the brain constantly decides what information is important and what can be ignored. One major reason we forget something is called lack of attention. For example, imagine someone tells you their name while you're distracted by your phone. A few seconds later, you might say, "Sorry, what was your name again?" The information may never have been properly stored in your memory in the first place. Another reason is time. If you learn something today but never use it again, your brain may gradually weaken that memory. This is why you might remember something you studied yesterday, but struggle to remember something you studied 6 months ago. This idea is often represented by what's called the forgetting curve. Memories tend to fade faster when we don't review or use them. But here's something interesting. Sometimes you don't actually forget the information. You just can't retrieve it. Think about when someone's name is on the tip of your tongue. You know the name, you can almost feel it, but your brain just can't bring it out. And then 5 minutes later, "Oh, I remember." That's because the memory was still there. You just couldn't access it at that moment. Another major factor is stress and lack of sleep. When you're stressed, your brain is busy dealing with that stress instead of focusing properly on new information. And when you don't get enough sleep, your brain doesn't get the opportunity to properly process and strengthen many of the memories you formed during the day. That's why after a sleepless night, you might find it harder to concentrate or remember things. So, can we improve our memory? Absolutely. Pay attention when learning something. Get enough sleep. Review important information regularly. Connect new information with things you already know. And most importantly, don't try to memorize everything. Your brain isn't designed to remember every single detail. Forgetting isn't necessarily a failure of your brain. Sometimes it's actually your brain doing its job, filtering out information so that the things that matter most can stand out. So the next time you forget why you walked into a room, don't panic. Your brain probably just decided that particular thought wasn't important enough to keep around, or maybe you just need some sleep.